The Kingdom of Benin, how the kingdom began, and how Benin became an empire. Introduction. The Kingdom of Benin began in the 900s when the Edo people settled in the rainforests of West Africa. By the 1400s they had created a wealthy kingdom with a powerful ruler, known as the Oba. The Obas lived in beautiful palaces decorated with shining brass. Gradually, the Obas won more land and built up an empire. They also started trading with merchants from Europe. For 200 years Benin was very successful, but in the 1600s the Obas started to lose control of their people. By the 1800s Benin was no longer strong or united. The kingdom came to a sudden end in 1897, when a British army invaded and made it part of the British Empire. How did the kingdom begin? Around the year 900 groups of Edo people began to cut down trees and make clearings in the rainforest. At first they lived in small family groups, but gradually these groups developed into a kingdom. The kingdom was called Igodo Magodo. It was ruled by a series of kings, known as Okisos, which means rulers of the sky. In the 1100s there were struggles for power and the Okisos lost control of their kingdom. The Edo people feared that their country would fall into chaos, so they sent for their exiled prince, Akarandaran, who had become a king in Ife and known as Odujua, for help. The king sent his son Prince Oranmian to restore peace to the Edo kingdom. Oranmian chose his son Elwelka to be the first Oba of Benin. Elwelka was the first in a long line of Obas, who reached the peak of their power in the 1500s. How did Benin become an empire? Around 1440, Oba Elweh the Great, reigned 1440 to 1480, who was described as a great warrior and magician. He established a hereditary succession to the throne and vastly expanded the territory of the Benin Kingdom, which by the mid-16th century extended from the Niger River Delta in the east to what is now Lagos in the west. Lagos was in fact founded by a Benin army, and continued to pay tribute to the Oba of Benin, until the end of the 19th century. Oba Elweh the Great also rebuilt the capital, present-day Benin City, endowing it with great walls and moats. The Oba became the supreme political, judicial, economic, and spiritual leader of his people, and he and his ancestors eventually became the object of state cults. Oba Elweh the Great was succeeded by a line of strong Obas, chief of whom were Ozoliwa the Conqueror, 1481 to 1504, the son of Oba Elweh the Great, and Oba Eseki, the son of Oba Ozoliwa, who enjoyed good relations with the Portuguese and sent ambassadors to their king. Under these Obas Benin became a highly organized state. Its numerous craftsmen were organized into guilds, and the kingdom became famous for its ivory and wood carvers. Its brass smiths and bronze casters excelled at making naturalistic heads, bas-reliefs, and other sculptures. From the 15th through the 18th century Benin carried on an active trade in ivory, palm oil, and pepper with Portuguese and Dutch traders, for whom it served as a link with tribes in the interior of Western Africa. It also profited greatly from the slave trade. But during the 18th and early 19th centuries the kingdom was weakened by violent succession struggles between members of the royal dynasty, some of which erupted into civil wars. The weaker Obas sequestered themselves in their palaces, and took refuge in the rituals of divine kingship while indiscriminately granting aristocratic titles to an expanding class of non-productive nobles. How did the kingdom end? By the 1800s the kingdom of Benin began to lose power, and the Obas struggled to rule their people. Benin was also under threat from Britain. The British wanted to gain control of Benin, so they could get rich by selling its palm oil and rubber. The Oba tried to stop all contact with Britain, but the British insisted on their right to trade. In 1897 a group of British officials tried to visit Benin. They were sent away because the Oba was busy with a religious ceremony, but they decided to visit anyway. As they approached the borders of Benin, a group of warriors drove them back and several British men were killed. This attack made the British furious. They sent over 1,000 soldiers to invade Benin. Looted her ivory, brass and bronze artifacts in the palace of the king, and Benin City was burnt to the ground and the kingdom of Benin became part of the British Empire. The descendants of Benin's ruling dynasty still occupy the throne in Benin City, although the present-day Oba has only an advisory role in government.